Hi Instagram family, I'm here with what I wanted to talk about today, about parenting positively. Let me get my notes. How's everybody doing? Today is a beautiful day. It started very well for me. I'm on Instagram, so if I'm looking here, I'm also here and I'm also here. So I'm doing it on both platforms. I'm doing it on my TikTok and I'm also doing it on my Instagram. Okay, you guys doing okay? Perfect. So today we're going to be talking about parenting positively. How can we parent impact positivity in our children today? So let me get my notes ready for you. As you know, a good teacher always have to prepare, as always. Well, when it comes to parenting, especially for us Africans, it's one of those things where we have to constantly keep learning, because parenting in Africa and parenting in Europe is two different things. And sometimes there's a little conflict in the parenting. And some people will say things like, oh, all of you people, you are now in Europe, you're behaving like XYZ race. And sometimes people will be like, oh, all of you people in Africa, what you do is so inhuman. And it's true. So finding the balance is more or less what I do when it comes to parenting. And as many of you do know, I have 6 amazing children. And my eldest daughter is 21. My second daughter is 19. I have my first boy who is 16. I have my second boy who is going to be 15. Then I have my third daughter who is 7. And then I have my youngest son who is 3 years old. Okay, so when I'm talking about parenting positively, it first starts with you, the parent. Okay, and most parents, like I said, if I look here, I'm looking at Instagram. If I look here, I'm looking at TikTok, because most parents, don't know when it comes to parenting. It starts with you. How do you feel about becoming a parent? Why did you become a parent? What are the reasons you made a choice to become a parent? And I think it may sound like, yeah, but why would I want to say that? Is that not the right thing to do? No. Parenthood is not given to everyone. Not everybody are supposed to be fathers. Not everybody are supposed to be mothers. Okay? It's a choice. And whenever something is a choice, they always have to be backed up with a purpose. Do you understand? So there has to be a purpose why you gave birth to those kids. Okay, and I always give an example is with me, with my children. If you ask me, but why do you have so many children? Like you can see in this chain, I have all of them here, all the names on the chain, on the footprint. It's because when I was a little girl, I've always wanted to have a big family. Forget about the how it comes about. I've always wanted to have a big family. So when I started having my children, I was first and foremost mentally ready, spiritually ready, and physically may not have been prepared for it, but in my mind and my spirit, I've always knew I will have the children that I have today. So, like I said, how to first of all become a positive parent, it starts with you. You need to know your reason. Why did you have the kids or child? If for some of you just have the one child, why did you have that one child? What is the purpose? What is the 1+? You want to give to the children. We're going to really talk today, because I don't want to rush it, because these are very subject that's very core into my heart. Okay, because a lot of people look at me and they ask me things like, how are you managing with all these kids? How are your children well behaved? How are your children, they're just so cultivated, they're just so cultural. And I tell people the same thing, because I started with me. I had my children with a purpose. I did not just have them because I felt like it was just time for me to have a child. No, there was a purpose why I had my kids at the time that I had them. And when you have a purpose of why you're doing something, irrespective of the challenges and difficulty that something may give you, because of the purpose, and because the purpose was the foundation, you will overcome whatever challenge it is. And this is me, because I know why I gave birth to my children, because I know the purpose of that. So even if they were going through the teenage year and they will come to me, I can say no to them. And even if they say, I hate you, I don't want to speak to you, you're not a good mom, I don't care. I know the purpose why I gave birth to you, and that's the purpose that's gonna happen in your life. Because if I didn't want to give birth to you, I will not, because I've done that too. So giving birth to children is a choice. It's never an accident. It's always a choice. It doesn't matter how it came about. It's a choice. And unfortunately, if you do not know the reason why you gave birth to those children, as they grow older, you will slowly become detached with them. Even worse, hate the person that you made the thing with. So it's very, I said the thing, they're not thing. Well, actually, the spiritual being, to be quite honest, they're not even a human, okay? Before they even come in a human. So I do apologize. You're not a thing, okay? You are a real thing. But when I still speak, I see kids how God sees kids. God sees children as nations. He doesn't see children how we see children. Reason why I always tell people, you do not stay in a relationship because you've had kids with that man, or because you've had kids with that woman, and you're so worried that if you depart or you go your separate way, it's going to affect the children. Let me tell you something today. It does not affect the children. It does affect the children, however, to remain in a relationship when they can see mom and dad communication is not flowing. Children know when you're pretending, by the way, just for I put it out there. Children know when you're pretending. And by you pretending, what you're communicating to them is it's okay to pretend to be liked or to like somebody else, even if you're not happy. So when they do go out there in that office and they start to work, they're going to pretend to be friends to that person who they know that they're not happy with. Because if mom and dad can pretend to be together, they too can pretend to be together. So I don't advise parents, if there's an issue, you can always separate and see how it goes. But one thing you do not do is you do not communicate lies, pretense to your children. You cannot pretend to love each other when deeply you know there's no love. Because kids, unfortunately, do pick up these things. And because they pick up these things, they internalize it. And it later on will come out when they get older. You may think like, oh, but when she was young, she was absolutely fine. But ever since they became an adult, oh my God. Because a lot of parents, in their minds, they think children remains children forever. The most error many Africans do is that when children are young, is, if anything, is the moment where you have to get yourself together. Check your mind. Check your reason why you gave birth to them. It's better off to raise children in separate places where they can see that my mom is happy, my dad is happy with the personal life, but we can also be happy. Learn to communicate to your children that it's okay not to be around a toxic relationship. It's okay not to be around people that don't make you happy. But when you're pretending to be together, you're not helping your children. You are encouraging them to remain around people who don't like them. Because what advice are you going to give them? You yourself have done it. Let me say, that's what I say. There are some things when kids are young, they're not supposed to be exposed to. And I always give this example. I'm going to give it again. Okay, imagine you're telling your child, do not lie. And if somebody's knocking on the door at that very moment, an example is a bailiff, and you tell your kid, open the door and say that I'm not here. Are you speaking the truth or are you lying? So the kid would just do what you ask them to do because, you know, your mommy, your daddy should have done it. Now, a few weeks after, you tell the child off because they lied about something. And the child now turns around to say, but excuse me, mom, excuse me, dad. You lied the other day when the bailiff was here and you said that you went home. What will you do? Most African parents I know, you will shout at the child, you will slap the child, even punish them for telling you the truth. And this is why I'm saying that we do not teach our children how to be positive. We model positivity around them. It's very important. How I've done it with my children is that no matter what madness I want to do, no matter how I want to drink myself out, knock out, I never do it in front of my children. I will take a trip, I will take a break, I'll get my mom to come in to look after. I'll go out and have my fun and come back home. I don't allow anyone to walk in and out, in and out, in and out of my home. Why? Because I am modeling a positive behavior to my children, and I may not be perfect, but I know they're vulnerable. I know they're at a stage where they will not understand, but there will come a time when they will understand. And that's a whole different things. And especially me who have a big family, I have children from the age of 21 all the way to 3. I'm very intentional when it comes to giving advice to the older ones. I would never give them advice in front of the younger ones. Even if I have to tell them off, I also will not tell them off in front of the young ones. Why? Because the young ones are watching. It's another way of saying, okay, if mom can talk like that to them, I can do the same too. No. What you do, you push the young ones out of the way, or you go out for a walk or something and you tell them off, where it's just you and them, no other children, no other people involved. That's how you parent positively to your children, because when you do that, you're giving them the self-worth, the self-respect, and they know that you're not out to get them, but you're just out there because you want what's best for them. So it's very important. So that's that one on how you do with children with different age group. Never discuss same thing stuff. When you're all together, you just talk general stuff, any other thing. And then you also give advice, mom, please. And you also give advice to your grown-ups children. And then you let them know that when they're having the conversations with whether the boyfriends and stuff, not to have the conversation in front of the younger siblings, because again, they're listening. So it's very important when you live in a household with loads of children of different ages that you model that positivity, and then you bring down the positivity to the adults, because your younger children becomes adults in your house and you have to speak to them straight up. You got to tell them, look, you're living under my roof. This is how it goes, this is how it goes, this is how it goes, this is how it goes. If you don't like it, give them your blessing and let them go out there and live by themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. Here in the United Kingdom, by the time they turn 18, you're an adult. You can vote, you can go out there, do whatever it is you want to do. Leave it, mom, I'll do it. Just leave it there, I'll do it. So it's all those things that, you know, they can do whatever they want and stuff. But unfortunately, some people start early as 14, because as most of you do know, I do stand in the panel of criminal justice, and I see a lot of things, and youths are like my passion. And I thank God that I never really had troublesome teenagers, because I started modeling positivity when they were young. I was not those Africans that say, oh, well, a child is only young, they don't understand anything. They do. They may not understand by words, they may not understand because their brain is developing, but observation, eyes, everything we do, they see. And as they get older, those are the imagery that comes back in the brain, and they start to connect the dots. And if they observe something that was negative, and you didn't correct that negativity in front of them, what happens is they take it as is the right thing. I'll give you an example. For instance, some of us that have boys that can be so hyper, and just as they were playing, one of the boys were playing with the sibling who's a girl, and then, hello Patella darling, how are you? And what happened is the boy, just out of playing, slaps the sibling that's a girl. At that point, you correct that boy. You say, no, never ever lay your hands on any woman. You started there. But here's what happens. Some parents will see it, they'll say, oh, they're just kids, they're just playing. No, they're not just kids. The young boy slapped a girl and nobody corrected it. So when that young boy now becomes an adult, okay, and they sort of like slap women, they call it domestic violence. But when they were younger, When the guys, please, can we keep the noise down, please? I don't want people to know what's happening in the background. Thank you. So sorry about that. So when that boy at the age of 6 slapped that girl at the age of 6 and nobody corrected it, as far as the boy's concerned, it's the right thing to do. So what I tend to do is when things like that happen in my household, I sit the both down. I know that maybe the girls wind the boy up to do what he did. I will sit the both down and the both will get the telling off. Okay, the girl gets the telling off. Say if somebody tells you no, it's no. Okay, you don't touch anything, you don't do anything, you don't push, you don't lay your hand on them. So it's because you lay your hand on them that they reacted on you, because what else could happen? And to the boys, I'll say exactly the same thing. You need to learn how to hold yourself. Okay, if somebody does something to you and is a girl, understand that they're weaker, tell somebody. Or worse, hold them. I literally told this to my boy, hold them, their hands. If they want to hit you, hold them so tight until they calm down. And when they calm down, you let them go. And if they start hitting you, you tell them to stop. If they carry on, you hold them and then you get for help. Why did I do that? Because there are some of these women, unfortunately, some girls that would hit boys who are good, who are raised by, mothers that have morals, mothers who teaches the boys to respect women. And some of these girls may have been raised in homes where it wasn't all like that. So I take time to teach my kids, my boys, especially my boys, on the things to see. If a girl comes like this and like that, just understand, sit them down and talk to them. And this is why one of my boys is like a prefect and a counselor in the school. We're going out 4 years running, and he's helped a lot of people. And I love what I do with him, because I've always said that I may have failed having a good man in my life, but let me tell you, I am raising a goddamn good man. There's always that. So when I talk about parenting in the way that I'm talking about, it's because I've had the experience firsthand in my own life, and what I didn't like in my life, I chose to do in the life of my children. What I lacked in my life was communication with my parents, because we all know as African, those generation, they never really communicated with us, okay? They just licked us and told us off. Go to bed. You're not supposed to be here. Okay? Those are the things that this all had done to us. But I done it a little bit different. I use communication more than whipping, shouting, and everything, stuff like that. And I communicate to them based on the age where they are, or maybe if not age, understanding. Because sometimes, like I have a 7-year-old. That girl's like, she's going to 32. She has some intelligence in her head. So sometimes I just utilize where they are. I need to ask questions and stuff, and we do. So we're talking about positive parenting and how we can impact, positively, to our children. So this is what I'm talking about. So we first start with ourselves. We need to understand, why did we give birth to these children? Because there has to be a reason why you give birth to children. And if there's not a reason, if you only done it because maybe the husband said you can, or the wife said that she wanted a baby and you need to know why. There's always a reason and a purpose why we do what we do. When there's not a purpose, Mom, too much noise. You can just give me like 30 minutes and you can do all of that, please. So when you don't have a purpose of why you're doing something, a reason why the things never go anywhere, okay? Imagine those women that give birth to children just because they got intimate with somebody and they got them pregnant, and there's somebody say, yeah, go on ahead, have children. But she never had in her head an idea to have a kid. So when she finally has that kid, she's going to have the kid for the person that said, yeah, go on ahead and have a kid. And sometimes people have children because they've just newly married, especially in our community. I see this a lot. They get married, within the space of a year, she gets pregnant, and within the second year of marriage, she has a child. Why did you have the child? Oh, well, I had a child because isn't that what you do? When you get married, you have children. Well, no. You can get married and wait at least 5 years before you can have children, because you need to get to know the person that you're married to. Because the person that you knew before you get married isn't the person that you're married to. Because everybody before marriage puts up a front. and you're never gonna know. I love this pastor. There's one of the pastors that I used to follow, and they say you can never know a person until you literally lived with a person for just 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. You will know, because you will smell the stench, you will smell the morning breath, you will smell the whole lot. Because when you're always meeting and going and meeting and going, you're coming with your best character, your best self. Okay, you're presenting yourself in the best way. Mama, please, you're presenting yourself in the best way. So when you finally live together, you can only go as far, okay? Because after maybe a week, after maybe 6 months, the real you that you've been hiding for such a long time, that you will eventually come out. And that's when they're gonna see, who did I marry to? You. But you were not like this before. And here's why I always tell people that if you don't know yourself, you don't know the reason why you gave birth to those children, you're always gonna struggle. And if you are one of those people that got blessed to get married first and then have children, this is what I've always told you guys, is always put your spouse before your children. Because there was you and your spouse, then the children. Unfortunately, when I say this, some people think, but no. Children will grow and they will leave you. Your spouse is your best friend, your everything. Always choose them over your children. Always, when you find people who got blessed to get married first and then have children, start to put children before their spouse, that means that relationship from the beginning, they weren't sure of why they were doing what they were doing. They probably just done it because people just told them to do it. People just, that's it. That relationship did not really have a great love foundation or a destiny foundation, or maybe they just forced it. You know how some people, they just don't want to stay alone. Age is going. You might as well get married and start having children. No, you don't do that. Those of you that really got privileged to get married and then have children, when I see it after years, you split, people go the separate way, it pains me and it breaks my heart, because you were too fast. And people tell me that I'm too fast. I'm not too fast. And you have 1 child, 2 child, 3 child, 4 child, and you eventually go, and all those things, I'm gonna do a show another about this, and I will explain to you that's all wrong. Your children should never have to come before your spouse if you got married before you had children. But if you had children and then you got married, again, that marriage may stay or may not stay, because why did you have the children? Why did you have the children? These are the things you have to ask. And then when you get married and you think that marriage is going to make things better, no. Only thing that makes things better is you. That's what I say. To be able to impact your children positively, you start with you. And you ask yourself the question, why? Why did you give birth to your children? What was the purpose? Your child, what is the purpose of their life in this earth? Because God should be able to tell you. Because if God in Jeremiah says that he knew Jeremiah before he even went into the mother's womb, so mothers should always know, what is this child coming to? Fortunately for me, I've always known all my kids what they're coming in to do, especially the 6th one. I told him, enter into this world with a bang, and he did. He knocked me off. I was in a coma for 2 days. He entered with a bang. I know what he's doing here. From his name, because I named all my kids while they're inside me. From his name to the thing, I know exactly who he is going to be. That's a purpose. I gave birth to a child with a purpose, not sentiment. Because like I said, I see children how God sees children. And God doesn't see children how most of you people see your children. You see your children as, oh, this person. No, God sees children as nations. Okay, nations. So which means that this nation is going to create another nation. You see the 6 kids that I have? That's the 6 nations that I have in my home. Reason why my company is called Mother of Nations. Kids are nations. When you have a mindset and you start looking at your children as nations. Raising them, you will impart all the rightful thing you need to, because you know tomorrow they're going to be out there doing things positively. You cannot impact positivity or important things into something that has no purpose in this world. You can't. But if it has a purpose of it being there, it's like your work. You will work on it so that it will be in line with the purpose that it has been given to do. So when I do hear and I see, when I go to this police station and other young people, 11 things, you know, and parents don't want to come, it breaks my heart, you know, and it really does. It hurts. I feel hurt and I feel pain. And when I hear even some of my children's friends saying to my children, you guys are so lucky, you have a mom like your mom, again, it hurts me. It breaks me. Because a lot of people are giving children just for the sake of giving children. And that's why I love children. That's why I work with children. That's why everything I do, I am children focused. I want what's best for the children because they are nations. And if guided the right way, tomorrow will be a better place. So I don't want to take the time on this because this topic is so long. But like I said, in order for you to be able to impact, okay, your children positively, start with you. It's a simple question, but the hardest to answer, I know. But take your time. Why did you have the children at the time that you had it and the way that you had it? Why? Were you ready mentally? Were you emotionally ready? Or were you just doing it because it just felt like the right thing to do? And for some of us that do say things like, it just felt like the right thing to do, you know, you have to understand something, that feeling is very fleeting, okay? Feelings comes and go. And that's something that life has taught me. I cannot make decisions based on my feelings. I literally have to analyze things and logically make decisions. That's the gift that men do have. But unfortunately for us women, we're feeling people. Okay, we're always making decisions based on our feelings. So I'm now learning to not make decision based on my feelings, to make decision based on logical facts and truth in front of me. When I started having my children, I was ready. But before I had my first child, I'd done an abortion before because I wasn't ready. And for me, that was a logical decision to make. It wasn't based on a feeling, because after that I was broken. I just felt like it wasn't the right thing to do, but logically speaking it was, because mentally I wasn't in the right place. I was not myself. So when I now carried on having a kid, I was mentally ready. And this is what I tell people: you cannot go through the same place twice. Let me explain that. When I gave birth to the first child of, say, the first man, and I saw how challenging it was and how painful it was, I will have to be mentally disturbed to go back to the same person and have a second child, married or not married. Too often we live in denial because we don't know ourselves, or we don't know our self-worth or self-value. A person that's kind will always be kind. Even when you're not kind, they will always be kind. And a person that's not a kind person, they will never be a kind person, even if you are kind. Do you get? So what I'm trying to say is, sometimes the answers of all the challenge and issue that we've been going through has already been given to us, but we are in denial. We as Black people have this, not just Black people, but any people, have this thing about people change. Oh, they're gonna change. Okay, they're gonna change. That's true. But you could have been somebody that came into that person's life just for a season or for a purpose. And you need to move yourself out of their life so that they can change. Because as long as you are in their life, they are gonna keep relying on you. And that's how sometimes we mess up people's destiny. Okay? And it's like, have you ever heard of those ex-wives or ex-husbands? The ex-wife would be things like, oh, I'm not with my husband anymore, we're divorced and things, the kids are there, but if I need him for anything, he's always there for me. Whereby, when you do that, you're holding yourself back from your destiny. And similar with other men, they'll be like, yeah, because they're so used to the wife, they're no longer together, and they may have been in a high position, but if I ever find myself stuck in something, I will always call them. Those are the things that God doesn't like. Those are the things that God gets so jealous. Because if you knew that you're going to always rely on that person for the rest of your life, why did you divorce? Why did you separate from them? Destiny doesn't separate from us. If that person was a man or a woman of your destiny, why did you separate? You separated because the universe and life is trying to tell you that you were only together for a purpose and a season. Let it go 100%, do a 360 turn and move on. Until you're able to do that, you're never going to find something that's going to be better, because what happens is where you want your blessing to happen, God had already moved to the next place where it's supposed to be. So because you're not there, your blessing is not waiting on you with the person that you chose to go separate with. Is waiting on you with the new person that's coming up there, if there is any new person, because chances are there may not be a new person, but there may be a new project, a new lifestyle, a new everything. So these are very important. This is why I tell my clients to work more on themselves. Okay, a lot of them, I saw this, that. No. When you're always projecting things from outside, it's a sign that you're running from what's on inside here. You face what's on inside here. You deal with it. Because once you deal with it and you face it, what's going to happen is you'll be able to see clearly. All these blocks will eventually go. So, parenting positively, it starts with you, unfortunately. Okay? And with the question I've just asked you, why did you give birth to that child? There's no right or wrong answer. But based on the answer that you're going to give me, I'm going to again ask you a question, again ask you, until we get to the layer of the reason why. And that's how I work with my coaching. And that's how I assist people. So when I'm presented with a child in front of me who has committed crime, and the parents are usually there because it's usually like at the referral order panel, when I speak to the children, I first observe the relationship they have with the parents that's there, and too often the relationship is not there. They talk over the parents, and a child talking over the parent is not disrespectful, by the way. For some of you that feels like, oh, it's disrespectful, it's not disrespectful. When you see a child speaking over a parent, it means that they're holding so many things inside of them, and there's a law that the parent has done to destroy the spirit. That's why the spirit has now built this wall where it's like, no, I've had enough, you can't be talking to me like this. And that's how they react. Okay, and I'm a parent myself. I've made those mistakes too. Like I said, there's not a manual, but there is a manual that teaches you how to be parents, and the manual is you and your child. That's the manual. So every child you have, that's like a new birth, a new thing. So you look at the child and you make sure you do it the right way. I mean, like I said, for those of you that's just connecting now, I have a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. The way I treat the 3-year-old is not the same way that I'm going to treat my 21-year-old. My 3-year-old, I understand, he's at the stage where he just wants to keep hugging mommy all the time. Even when he's sleeping, he will leave his bed, come to just climb you. He doesn't ask. As far as he's concerned, you're my mommy. Your body is my body. If I want to climb you and lay on you, I will do that. If I want to hug you anytime, you can't say no. That's the stage where it is. And usually at that stage, some children get pushed away. So I don't push children away. So I sort of like allow him. And I will hug him and I will emotionally support him at that time, because it's an emotional transition. It's an emotional, so many things. Learning how to potty train. You're doing so many things. It's just an emotional moment. That's why they call them terrible twos. I call them terrific 2s and 3s. So by the time they get into the fives, if you give them the emotion so well, then you won't have a problem. Then you reach the age of 5 is the why stage. You know, I'll call it the why stage. That's just like everything is why. He tells him to do something, but why do I have to do it? Why do I do it? Well, and the why stage carries on until they're like 8 years old. Okay, so that's 5 to 8 years. It carries on until about 8 years old. And in this 8 years old is also the moment where they will push. It's like the personality is trying to come out. So they will start to show you who they are, and they will start to push you. And if you're not a healed parent and you did not work on yourself, this is also the stage where you will be triggered. You will be triggered. So when you're being triggered by your children, you need to know how to respond and know how not to respond. It's very important. So at the age of 5 and 8, this is what they'll be doing. You will tell them things, they'll say no, they'll start to act up. No one needs to talk to you. There's so many things. How you respond will actually help them to the next stage of the life, which is 8 until the 13. So it's very, very important. Sorry, understand my house is filled with people. Whenever you have to do life, they all just want to be known that they're here. So yeah, so it's very important. So the most crucial age, okay, for me, and from experience and from being a childminder and having gone through the NCMA courses, is 0 to 8 years old. 0 to 8 years old is the moment that you do everything in your power, that you educate your children, that you impact them positively, that you undo anything that you know you may have yourself sowed negatively. That's the stage where you correct. That's the stage where you undo what has been done and redo. And you know, that's the age, 0 to 8 years old. From the moment your child finishes 8 years old and they reach the age of 9 and say 13, that's no longer the age to be, you know, sowing how you want them to be. That's now the age where you start to observe and correct and guide what you already sowed in them, so that they will not fall out, because that's the age where they're a little bit more curious. They move from the stage of the why and the stage of the emotional growth and the why. I've written a small book about this, but I'm just giving to you guys what it is. And then they reach the stage of the what I call curiosity or discovery, whatever you want to call it. And what they know you've told them, and now they're being exposed with other things from other people, peers. So that's when they get the peer pressure. What you've said is this foundation, but now is the discovery, the learning from other people, the learning from the friends, the school, and things and stuff. You know, people are having different education, so all these things. So this is where, at this stage, 9 till about 13, is not the stage for you to start educating them again, but it's a stage where you start to listen to them more, what their friends are saying, and if anything they say is out of what you said, you correct in love. So this is what you do. That's the stage. And after that, if you've managed to get that stage, very well. So from the age of 13 till about say 18 is no longer the stage of observation or just listening to them more or guiding them. It's now the stage of supporting them in all form. Is the stage what I called the non-judgmental stage, because now they're going to put into practice everything that you've sort of like given them. Okay, so they're putting all those things in practice. Where they get it wrong, watch how you will advise them, and when you give them the advice, let the advice be non-judgmental. Okay, because from the age of 13 till 18, one of the things that teenagers are struggling with, the body is going through a lot of transition anyway, and at that time they need a safe haven. At that time they need somebody who's going to be non-judgmental. Unfortunately, a lot of parents are still dealing with their own childhood trauma, and when these children start to act and behave in a particular way, they don't have the peace in them. They get triggered, and when a parent gets triggered and they start to lash out, and the person from between the age of 13 and 8, you lose them, because they don't know what's going on in the body. They don't know what's going on in their mind. They don't know what is this new stage. But if you're a healed parent and you have a teenager going through those things, all that's going to be is just you listening, giving advice, judgmental advice. So by the time now they will reach the age of 18, you will realize that that child wouldn't want to leave you, because you've created a safety net for them. They now know that you've been a parent that's taken them from the emotional growth to, the curiosity and the why, and to where they are now. And they can see the different stages. And unfortunately, these are things that aren't taught to us Africans, because all we know is shout, hate the children, speak bad thing about the children. You can't talk to me like that, you're a child. And that doesn't help. So this is just things I wanted to give you guys, at least up to 18. So from 0 to about, say, 0 to 4, 5, 0 to 5, the child is just emotional. It just needs love, nothing else. So you just have to love them. Anytime they want to come to you, they can come to you. They can do whatever. You just do nothing but love. And anything you do with them, whether you're shouting at them or doing something, or they've done something wrong and you want to tell them off, you do it in love. Like, oh my God, did you do that? But you know what? It's okay. From 0 to 5 is the time where you can model to them that it's okay to sometimes drop your glass of milk. It's okay to sometimes wee in the bed. It's okay. That's when you model that, not everything is bad, but it's okay if you do it anyway. It shouldn't matter. So from the age of 5 till about the age of 8 years old, this is the age where, is the why age. There are so many questions. There are so many whys in everything that you do to them. So because you do that, all you have to do is just make sure the answer that you're giving them are, understandable, and they can manage it. However, if you don't have an answer to give, I don't want you lying, okay? You shouldn't be lying. You should not be lying, okay? So you can't be lying, because they will grow older and they will find out what it is that you told them was a lie, and they will come back to you, and then every other thing that you've told them is going to become like a lie. So 5 to 8 years old, every question they ask you, you answer it as honest as you possibly can. And if you feel that the honesty that you're going to give them is going to, cause a bit of issue in the mind, you just tell them, well, I'm going to answer you when you're a little bit older and a little bit, wiser and understandable what it is, but I can't tell you right now. Is that okay? That's how you say it. And they're probably going to say, laugh, say, but why not? Say, you're still a baby. Give them a kiss in the forehead, kiss in the cheeks, whatever. Hug them and play around with them. Say it's okay. And that's it. What you've done stayed in them. So by the time they get a bit older, that question will come again, and they will want to ask you. And then you see that, yeah, okay, they're old enough and I can tell them, and you tell them. So there are ways to do, and that was 5 to 8, they do the whys. So from say 9 till about 13, like I said, it's no longer the whys. It's no longer you telling them what to do. It's now you trying now to remove and guide them with the word that you've said, because at this stage they're meeting friends, they're meeting teachers, they're meeting all sort of different teaching outside the home. So for that reason, you have to be more listening at the age of 9 till 13. Pay attention to what they're saying, because too often they're still naive, and our children announces things to us. Okay, they announce things to us, but because we're not trained to listen actively to them, we just look at it as, they're just being kids. No, kids aren't just being kids. Kids often are communicating things, but we just don't pay attention. So that's 9 to 13. So from 13 now to 18, this is the stage where you have to become non-judgmental. You're going to be a parent, but a non-judgmental parent. You have to create a safety net for them, because they are the teenager years. Things are changing, peer pressure, you have to set discipline. You have to set boundary towards them, to you too, that they are not allowed to do this. If they say things out of context, you will react to it, because you're human too. This is the time. 13 to 18 is the time where you model these changes. Is when you model how they should be treating people, how they should be doing things, because you are going to be the first person in their life that they're going to treat bad. You're going to be the first person in their life that they're going to say, I hate you. You're going to be the first person in their life that they're going to really hate as well, because you say no to something. You say no to them and you're the first no in their life. Do you understand? So you have to model it, but not judgmental. You can't judge it. Can't judge anything. So then by the time they reach 18, yeah, you have given them an experience of how life really is out there. And when they do go out there, people will know that, wow, whatever was taught to you at home is really good. I taught my kids all the time. If you see somebody lashing out, if you see somebody behaving in a particular way, understand that they are going through pain. They don't mean what they're doing. If you're in danger, you have to protect yourself. If you're not in danger, just let them talk until they finish, or seek somebody to come and help them. Or you tell them, say, I understand, it's okay. The moment you say, I understand, they might break down and start crying. And fortunately, it happened like that to some of my kids. And they came back, oh my God, you were so right. And after, there you go. And of course, I said what every parent loves to say, mommy's always right. So that's the power where you become always right. And when you're always right in the eyes of your children, believe it or not, it's a blessing, because they come to you for everything. Everything. And that's how I've won the heart and the minds of my children. By working on myself, becoming a better person, healing all my childhood traumas, because I wanted to be a better parent to my kids. And I did it. And I'm so proud of myself. And that's why I want to give you guys also an opportunity to be that perfect parent for your children. Because perfection, it's something that does exist, but one must really want it. You see, I wanted to be perfect for my children, and I believe I am. And I think what I've done with them is so beautiful, that I see them being positive role models out there in the world. See, I did not give birth to children so that tomorrow when they go out there to start hurting other people's children. This is why I ask you, why did you give birth to your child? I gave birth to my child so that when they go out there, they are an extension of my love to the world. Okay, so when people meet my children extend my love to those people. That's why I gave birth to children, because I knew that I needed an extension of the love that I have. I needed to have people that I can impart this love to, so that when they go out there, they can start loving people the same, and then people can start getting healed. That's my reason of giving birth to my children. So my children are an extension of what my destiny has to offer, and love is my trademark. So my children just demonstrate nothing but love to people. And that's me for today. And that's what I wanted to tell you guys today. I may have finished a little bit earlier, but you never know. But this is what I wanted to say about impacting positively in your children's life. I do not believe, there's any right or wrong in any child born in this world. From where I come from in the Congo, a lot of women always say things like, I gave birth to the child, but I did not give birth to the heart. And I hate that adage. I hate that proverbs, because there's a lot of proverbs in my country that needs to be reprogrammed, rewritten, or just better, just bring a verb into it. Just have the meaning corrected, because I feel as though some of these proverbs has confused a lot of people on a lot of things. Okay. And like just the one I've given you, I've given birth to a child, but I have not given birth to the heart. How can you give birth to a child and not know the heart of your child? It doesn't make sense. And this is what I always tell people, and I've been saying this for almost 15 years, and a lot of people don't agree with me. It's okay. And some people don't understand. It's also okay. I've always said this, and take this with you today. Children come into our lives, okay? They come into our lives. We don't go to their lives. What I mean by that is this. When you give birth to a child, that child has come into your life. You have not entered their life. So to all the parents that like to say things like, oh, since I've given birth, you know, I have to do this and do that for my child. I have to stop doing this because I have to. No. Your children needs to find something in you so that they can find the path in life. I have always worked throughout my pregnancies. In fact, a friend of mine was just saying that, oh, Niina, you've never lived life. It's like you spent all this life just breeding kids, just give. But now it's time for you to live life. And I'm like, you're right. I've never lived life to the fullest on how I wanted it to be. However, I had a purpose and a reason why I was giving birth. You see, I was ready mentally, remember I said, and emotionally, maybe not physically, but I was ready up here. And that's why it was easier for me to do the things I was doing and giving birth to my children, because I was ready for it. You do not give birth to a child and say, I had to stop my life to raise my child. That doesn't sound correct. That tells me you never did have a life. And there's a lot of other parents who didn't know what they wanted to do. So the moment they have a kid, suddenly they want to go back to study, or they want to look for a job, they want to do this. So it's the kid that gave you that reason why. So your child becomes your why. There's nothing wrong with that as well. But in a way, it doesn't sound right. Why must there be something else outside of you to come in your life for you then to find sense in your life? Let me repeat that again. Why must there be something or someone from outside of you to come in your life for you to find sense of your life? When really and truly, you should make sense of your life yourself firstly, if you looked inside of yourself. And this is why I ask you, why did you give birth to those children? What was the purpose of giving birth to the kids? I hear a lot of parents say sometimes, oh, the moment I gave birth to my children, I changed. That's good. It's not bad. It's not right or wrong. But I always throw another perspective. Why did you have to give birth to your child to change? That's still something outside of you. Why did you not just look inside of yourself and change? Because we come from family which don't show us self-love. That's why. We were never taught self-love. We were always taught take care of other people is important. You come from a good home, but you have to take care of other people. Nobody teaches people how to take care of themselves. And I started doing that with my kids, my children. How to take care of themselves, how to put themselves first. And that always works and has been working. When they don't feel like talking, I will not ask them. I'll ask them something like, can you do this for me? Oh, you know what? I don't feel like it. I say, that's okay. That's fine. Another one is like, when they take the recycling bin, I got a message, a WhatsApp message. Please, can you just take the recycling bin because I don't feel like going out today at the moment. I said, okay, sure, no problem. Why? Because they're thinking of them. They're seeing them first. I'm not like, yo, get up and go out there, do it. I work for you. I bring money in this thing. I pay the gas and electricity. No. Because when you do treat your children as a human being, what you're doing is you're putting a high bar on how other people outside should treat them. When your children come to you and they say things and they can't do, what you do is you respond how you will want people out there to respond to them, because they are going to go out there. Yeah, you enjoy them while you have them now. It's not wrong with that. Whether you like it or not, your boy will find a woman and a woman will be everything and you will not be everything anymore. Yeah. Yes, and your girl will find a husband and the husband will be everything. You will not be everything. What will you do if you're not sure of yourself? If you've not got inside and repaired yourself and built yourself to the point that another person's lack of love isn't going to change the love that you have for yourself. Self-love is important. You see me, I am ready for that next stage. When my daughters get married, my sons get married, I love me. I'm not going to feel lonely. I'm not going to feel like some part of me is gone. No, I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to do more of this, you know, to help people. And I may have my grandchildren, and my grandchildren, boy, they're going to be so blessed. That's all I can say. Because I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did with my children. And I say, bless them, impart love into them. And I say, so this is the reason why I tell people, when you have a very challenging child, first thing you should ask yourself, why did you give birth to them? What was the purpose? And because sometimes when you did have a purpose or why you gave birth to them, you can always somehow hold on to that purpose so that your reaction will not be out of purpose. Because if you don't know the purpose and you react out of purpose, what happens is you ruin your own child. You ruin your own child, and then the peers take them, the street takes them, drugs, women take them. It's very important. It's very important to work on yourself as a parent, okay? There's never a time to start working on yourself as a parent, okay? I started working on myself as a parent on my 4th pregnancy. Look at that. So it was time to repair what was what was paining on here, because I wanted to be the best parent for my kids, and I am. And I'm happy that they are happy, because happy children is happy mom, happy dad. That's what it is. And their happiness, by the way, is not because you've given them a bigger house, you've given them, all the luxury of the world. It's because you yourself on the inside are truly happy. Because women, you have to understand that, I said it, I think yesterday, that we don't have seed to have children, okay? The seed comes from the men. Now, when you work on yourself, you become a soil, you become a territory. So when the man sows the seed, irrespective of how demonic or whatever it is, this is supposed to be like, if you built this house as a wise woman, every child that will come out of you, it's like fruitful, very good. So you become like that tree that's planted in the water, bearing fruit every single season. That's how it is. But if you destroy this whole body yourself, any seed that comes in here will always produce not a good seed, because of the woman. And this is why I always tell men, be careful the kind of women you choose to create babies with, because some women, they have destroyed the whole body, and when they give birth, they don't give birth to anything good. They give birth to issues, problems, troublesome. But there are some women, when they give birth to children, they give birth to peace, calm, joy, laughter, love. Do you understand? So it's very important that you get to know these things. But that's another whole topic altogether. So that's me, Niina Kabesa, life coach, amongst many other things that I do. And I just wanted to come and tell you guys on how to positively impact your children. And the first one I only gave you is, it starts with you. Why did you give birth to that child, your children? Once you know your why, this other question that follows after that. And for any of you lot that may want parenting coaching or just life coaching or whatever it is service that you want from me, you can inbox me and I will let you guys know, or probably send one of my best coaches, because I'm not training coaches, to also partake in the Niina Life Coach coaching service. Thank you. So guys, today is my date night with my eldest daughter. She's taking me out, and just look out for the video that's going to come after that. So yeah, I love my life because I accepted what was wrong with me so that I can be a better person. So denial sometimes, it holds back on what we should be getting. Thank you so much. Bye bye. I'm saying goodbye to my TikTok people and to my Instagram people. Thank you very much for following me thus far, and I'm also going to say my goodbye, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Bye.